This is the Rumour Mill.
Leeds on the offensive straight away. Jack Harrison here. Jack Harrison bringing the ball forward. He's played it into Pablo Hernandez, edge of the area. Hernandez goes for goal! What a start to the game! 17 seconds on the clock. It's got to be one of the quickest goals of the Sky Bet Championship season. Here's Cook. Cook goes for goal! And finds the back of the net in sensational fashion.
Jones now for Leeds. And McNabb only half stopping him. Jones getting it across. And Clark going in! And Alan Clark has put Leeds ahead! Live down under. Mark Viduka is a sporting god in Australia, and now in West Yorkshire. Here he is again. It's Viduka. It's four. It's all his own work.
Well, hello everybody, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Conor McGilligan, this is One Leeds, and this is the Rumour Mill. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're back here with your daily show, or 5-day-a-week out of the 7-a-week show, where we bring to you the transfer news. We've been going for 6 years, baby. Every single transfer window, the Rumour Mill is where it's at. What's going on in your world? Let me know in the comment section below. Do me a favor, everybody, before we get into the video, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late, or maybe I'm a little bit early for some, but I'm a little bit late today. I had to travel to Barnsley. Everybody. Barnsley, what am I doing with my life? Shout out to all the Leeds fans who infiltrate that small little place, and we might as well call it our own. We've invaded, we've taken over, but I have to go to Barnsley to film with Callum Fowler and Jim Bob Rooney. And listen, we do a championship show. If you're interested, it is called Proper Football. And if you're interested in Premier League natter, anti-Leeds natter, and me on the defence, I do have my second channel, of course, Conor McGilligan, which you can find in the description below. And we have a show called Added Time. Make sure you check that out if you're new and you fancy something a little bit extra. You know, I do other things as well. I do other things but Leeds. So here we are. Let's see who is in the building. Shout out to all the regulars. Happy life nearly, mate. Hit the like button, ladies and gents. Loaf's in the building. Jacob's here talking already about football. Afternoon, Connor. How you doing, Stefan? Good to see you in the building. It's quite interesting as well because on the live shows, you get a different person on the live shows. We have all the regulars. I see Loaf normally and all that sort of stuff, but listen, I don't normally see some of you in here. I see Lee in here all the time as well. But on an afternoon start, who knows? Rory, another new one on the afternoon starts. Evening Connor, normally on catch up. There we go. But good to catch the live. Surely we're progressing on the quiet with the deal for a left wing back, especially with GG out. Oh. I saw someone in the chat just saying, it was earlier on saying, do you think Connor's going to rant about Goodmanson? I won't rant, but I'll make a point. Afternoon, everybody. Like the stream. Shout out to you, Josh, top man. Evening, Connor. Good morning. Hello to all of you. Jake says, have you recovered, mate, from the... Not yet, Jake. I was trying to pressure my mate to go for some beers tonight as well. Have you ever done that? And I felt so bad. I just said to my mate, like, we're both massive Arctic Monkeys fans. Arctic Monkeys tune has just come out. I've been riffing to it all day. And I thought to myself, you know, let's go out for a few beers tonight. And then I realised, I'm ill. Connor, what you doing? Stop being an alcoholic. But alcohol solves everything, doesn't it? I'm joking. You had your ears lowered, lad. I haven't, mate. It's just a slick back. It's actually not a slick back, you know. I've just put my hair back, but annoyingly, people call it a slick back. It's not actually a slick back. It's not slicked at all. It's just back. So there we go. Evening, morning from Chicago. Hello, hello, hello. Right, okay. What I wanted to do is break down everything. There is a lot going on right now. I don't want to make this comparison as I switch my second light on. I don't want to make this comparison, but I'm gonna. I feel very Igor-y Peugeot-y about this, but I do feel an element of positivity. I really do. We're going to get into some rumours before we get thoroughly into Strand-Larsen. We're going to start off with Martin Batterina. Now, the attacking midfielder was profiled by Leeds United apparently around about 12 to 18 months ago. We've done loads of stuff on Batterina previously, and there was conversations about Fabregas and Como potentially being open for him to move and leave this summer, with Como requiring a few funds. Now, Batterina has been in very, very good form. Very, very good form this season. I think he got an assist against Bologna. I'm pretty sure he got a goal and assist against Milan. Scored an insane goal around about 2 weeks ago as well, which was a highlight reel. Apparently, according to Tutto Mercato, Leeds United put in a 30 million euro bid in, which was rejected, not just by the Como, hierarchy, which is Cesc Fabregas, but it was personally rejected by Cesc Fabregas. Apparently, according to outlets out there, he heard it and immediately said, no, we're not even entertaining it. Do I think this is real? Martin Batterina. Now, I do think he's got such a high ceiling. Obviously came over from Zagreb and, he's been on the circuit now for a couple of years. Do I think Leeds, I'm in my head, I'm thinking about Leeds in the Championship now. This is Premier League Leeds United, Connor. Come on, get your head screwed on. Yeah, we can attract a player like that 100%, which would be unbelievable. But he's an attacking midfielder. I always like to compare him a little bit to Barella. I think he's very similar to the Inter Milan midfielder, very energetic, not kind of box to box, but a little bit more of an advanced playmaker. And we've kind of got that sewn up in Facundo Buonanotte, I feel anyway. And that's the reason why we didn't move on Schmid as well, it feels like, because you've got Facundo Buonanotte, so what's the point? Batterina, again, someone who sort of operates in that role. So kind of when you're looking at a 30 million euro deposit that Leeds United would need to put down on Martin Batterina, I just don't see it making a lot of sense, to be honest with you. And I think if he sticks around at Como, and I'm not 100% sure on his contract length, but if he sticks around, he's recently signed from Zagreb as well. So if he sticks around, they're going to sell him for a lot of money. Very, very highly rated, very good player as well, and someone who can operate in that position of which people pay a lot of money for. But there's a lot of rumours from the Italian side, whether or not it's, sometimes these, when it comes to Calcio Mercato and Tutto Mercato, we come on here, don't we, a lot of the time, and they might even be the same thing, who knows, in terms of publications. But sometimes it can be CD grade. But they are reporting this morning that Leeds United have had a 30 million euro bid rejected. So there we go. Loft says JSL goes to Palace and still ends up going down. Andrew says, thanks for all your up-to-dates. You're always on the ball. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. If Mateta leaves Palace, then they are likely to sign Strand of Wolves. Puts us behind, I reckon, Connor. We'll get on to that in a bit, mate. CJT. I always struggle with that name for whatever reason. Afternoon, Con. How's it going, mate? Good to see you in here. Thank God we're... God. You've been using Grecian 200 hair. The problem is I always make it a thing, don't I? I always come on. I have got about, Jimmy said it to me today. Did you guys not feel like I have about 600 different looks? I always come on here and I've always got like, my hair might be down. It might be curly. It might be straight, whatever. Mullet, buzz cut, slick back. It's ridiculous, isn't it? More hairstyles than Leeds have points. Good morning, Connor from America. Yeah, 100%. Good morning to you too. Oh, good afternoon from my side. Right, got a lot to get through here. I feel like a news reporter just literally for this for this rumor. Right, where do we start here? Let's start on Ben Jacobs. So this kind of got the ball rolling a little bit earlier on today, and there's rumours here, there, and everywhere with Jorgen Strand-Larsen. Crystal Palace have held talks with Wolves over Jorgen Strand-Larsen per Alex Crook, exclusive on TalkSport. Strand-Larsen is valued at 40 million quid and is viewed as a possible replacement for Jean-Philippe Mateta should the French strike it apart. Big word there, should. Think about the date. Think about the profile of Jean-Philippe Mateta, him leaving Crystal Palace and the fee that would now take. I understand the contractual obligations. I completely understand that. But from a Crystal Palace side, how bad this month has been, how atrocious it's been from a PR perspective. Now letting Mateta go, your leading goal scorer over the last 2 or 3 years, just think about that. So key word there, should the French strike it apart. Strand-Larsen was brought to England by Crystal Palace sporting director Matt Hobbs when he held the same role at Molineux. So that's the first bit of it, okay? Now, we've kind of got to look around the houses here when it then comes to, well, what's going on? How can we develop on this story when it comes to Jorgen Strand-Larsen? So you can got to look at the other clubs, and we were talking about this last night, but we're going to have to talk about it today because it is a rolling story. We have 9 days left of the transfer window. This is not stopping. Leeds are continuously linked to the Norwegian, and rightly so. So we learned last night from Liam Keane at the Express and Star on the Wolverhampton Wanderers side of things. Leeds have held talks with Crystal Palace. There's stuff going on in the background. That is effectively what Liam Keane was saying. He was paraphrasing, but there's agents from other sides talking to... It felt like he was kind of going between the houses of saying, around the houses, talking, effectively saying that, Tor Pedersen might be speaking to some representatives at Leeds and Palace. That's how it felt anyway with what he was saying, Liam Keane. But he said he'd be very shocked as well if next week there wasn't a bid put in. Now, do Wolves need to sell? Some of the Wolves fans are saying that they don't need to sell. Other Wolves fans and reports and stuff throughout the season have said that, there could be a conversation where they're around, or they are behind the scenes in around 90 million quid's worth of debt. So they do need to sell on. Hence why you're seeing the likes of Agbadou being talked about, Andre, Gomez, all conversation, Hugo Bueno, JSL, all conversations about them leaving the football club. Even Tolu Arokadere, who's only been brought in the summer. So lots to discuss. Now, Mateta. This is the interesting one because this feels like this would be the breaker in the deal when it comes to Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook talking about it as well. Now, Mateta, if you actually do a little bit of digging in and around the deal between Mateta and Juventus are said to not be able to afford the full permanent fee for Jean-Philippe Mateta now. There's interest. I think it's gone even further than inquiry. It might have even been approached by Juventus. But the structure of the deal isn't favoured in the way of which Juventus would want. It is a loan to an option to buy that Juventus want when it comes to Jean-Philippe Mateta. Now, Crystal Palace right now, that is, and look, option to buy. I believe his contract runs out. Let's have a little bit of a check, Mateta, on his deal. Okay, so his deal runs out next year. Okay, 2027. So it's not expired in the summer. So it's not as extreme as people think as well. So they want a structured deal where it's a loan to an option to buy. There is conversation right now with Aston Villa as well that they're a little bit more willing to move on the Tammy Abraham deal, taking him from Turkey to Birmingham. But Aston Villa apparently still have interest in Mateta, but there might be conversations about Mateta going to either of these clubs in the summer. What does this mean, Connor? What are you talking about? We'll get on that in just a little bit. The next pawn in this piece, Lorenzo Luca. Why? Why are you talking about him, Connor? Who is he? Well, he's a striker. Played for Napoli. Hasn't got the greatest goal-scoring record at Udinese. He was much better, but at Napoli, it's not been great. He's played a few Europa League European games, I should say. And at this moment in time, it feels like we are getting to a situation where Nottingham Forest agree a deal for Lorenzo Luca, which takes, I think it starts off with a 1 million. I think it's been reported by Ben Jacobs that it's a £1 million loan with then an option of 40 million quid. Now, the conversation then is, well, if it's a 1 million loan, then does that keep Nottingham Forest in the pool? If it is a loan, well, technically, yeah, they are still in the pool for someone like Jørgen Strand-Larsen. And as I've said from the very start covering this, it has felt to me that Nottingham Forest are going to be the potential problem, which is crazy because we're above them. It shouldn't work like that. It's not fair. But obviously, Lorenzo Luca coming in, if it is a loan, which it looks like it's structured now, we've not got the full confirmation, but if it is a loan with an option, they may still have the capabilities to bring in Jørgen Strand-Larsen on a permanent. Okay. Now, the next rumour here, I'm going everywhere here, everybody. Big sort of breaking story this morning was Siddiqui Sheriff at Angers apparently is subject to a 19 million pound bid from Wrexham. But apparently Crystal Palace have already been working on the deal in the background when it comes to Siddiqui Sheriff. So that's going to be £19 million. That is a big, big outlay of cash for Crystal Palace, of which I doubt then they'd be able to splash 40 million quid on Jørgen Strand-Larsen. So loads going on right now. Palace, what situation are they in? Is Mateta even going to go? Can Palace afford to let him go on loan with an option? Like, how does that facilitate Crystal Palace with the absolute nightmare that has been this January period with Glasner, the troubles with, him coming out and publicly outing Steve Parish? On the back of that, Mark Gay, the captain of the football club, being sold. Very recently as well, Eze moving on, the best player being sold, arguably not being replaced. So loads going on from a Crystal Palace perspective, but they've got to save face a little bit. Apparently Palace and Glasner and Steve Parish came to an agreement, which both were happy with around about a week ago. Is that the fact that Jean-Philippe Mateta stays? Is that the fact Wharton stays? Is that what it's based on? It might be. And maybe there's a little bit that we don't know in terms of, no, Mateta might want to go, but he ain't going. He ain't going. Because we can't afford to let him go, especially with that goal record. So it comes all the way back to this man. It all comes back to this man and where Leeds United are at. Are we in pole position? Strangely enough, it feels like we are. And I wanted to pull this up as well because I've seen a couple of Wolves fans saying this and it's quite interesting. Ryan Lester has said, Larsen to Palace. That depends. It wouldn't be surprised to see the Norwegian depart this window, and that would be okay, but it depends on two things. Wolves don't need to sell, which I may dispute a little bit, but, it's a Wolves fan. He will know more than I will. Wolves don't need to sell, so they can and should demand a very sizable fee. The fee being spoken about is still 40 million quid, which once again, we were speaking about PSR yesterday and the limitations, the restrictions, and the ways you can move around PSR. But can Leeds United feasibly bring in a striker with not letting one go out if Joel Prue doesn't want to go and Leeds are not shoving him out the door? We'll get to Daniel Farke's quotes in just a little bit. Larsen needs regular minutes more than the club need to sell. Also, Wolves can't sell without bringing another forward. I mean, that's literally not our problem. If you're willing to, Liam Keane said yesterday in the Express and Star that if a bid came in which matched Wolves' valuation, they'd let him go. So in that case, you've then got to have a replacement lined up. And could we facilitate that replacement potentially? Could that replacement be absolutely under their nose? And a lot of people will say, Connie, you've been absolutely unrealistic. Joel Prue, quite right. And someone said to me on the video the other day, and I can't remember what account it was, but they said, and I do read all the comments, whether or not it disagrees, it agrees, as long as you're just respectful, that's all I ask, and that's the guidelines of the channel. Someone said, well, Connor, you've said that he's not going to tear it up for Leeds systematically. Why will he then go and do it for Wolves? And that's a fair comment. What I would say with Wolves is I think it's going to get to a stage where the pressure's off and they play really without fear. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now. Joel Prue then finds himself in the Championship. And as we know, Peru's played under possession-dominant managers in Russell Martin, Daniel Farke in the Championship. And I think he would do very well with a manager like Rob Edwards. And normally you go on to the championship and teams do change managers anyway, don't they? So we'd wait and see on that one, of course. But yeah, it's all very interesting, guys. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. But it is a game of chess. It's a game of chess. And Leeds wouldn't have inquired if we didn't know what was the eventualities. I think they will have learned from the Pajau stuff. They will have learned from what's happened, what's not happened, how you can aggressively go about deals, maybe when to back out. And I'm sure Underwood and co will have learned from that because this feels very similar. Now, we're not talking about the caliber of player. Pajau is a match winner. Jong and Strand-Larsen, there is still people going, I'm not sure. And I understand the concern. I completely understand the concern. I've mentioned before that there's a facilitator. There's a runner in a front two. Do you want a facilitator and a facilitator? In Jorgen Strand-Larsen and Dominic Calvert-Lewin? I think Strand-Larsen is more than that. I actually think DCL is more than that as well when you look at the overall numbers this season. And it just gives Leeds United that punch, that power. And we all say consistently that you need to strengthen, okay? And if you can bring forward that summer recruitment and do it in January so you don't have to fight with people in those summer months for a striker, for a number 9, when you've got 15 clubs looking at one player and the pressure's on, you can get something done in January where clubs are restrictive. They're a little bit worried about spending the cash. Are we going to stay up or are we going to go down? Can we do this? Can we not do this? There's a little bit more trepidation is the key word in January. So if you can bring your summer business forward and get someone like Jorgen Strand-Larsen in who scored 14 goals in the Premier League last season in a team who just supply him, which hasn't happened this season, you could have a very, very profitable asset there for Leeds United in general. There could be a stage where, especially with what we've done with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you even look at what Leeds did with Solomon's career last season, where a player comes in and they go like that. And then, I've said this with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the sell-on value now that Leeds could have if they wanted to sell him. If Dominic Calvert-Lewin hits 15 goals, Leeds brought him in for free. Think about the sell-on value. He's 28. Who knows? Who knows? Mark says, those still having a dig at Blunderwood seem harsh, to be honest. Most of our Underwood signings have now turned out to be very decent. Yeah, Mark, there was this confusing period. I don't know what it was sort of ignited by, but it felt like it was ignited by media. I don't know what else it was, but where it was Farke or the owners, it was very, very bizarre and quite childish. But yeah, I mean, look, we all want both to do well, don't we? Some of us want change at certain times, and we can be wrong. That's football, isn't it? It's life. This is what we do. We put our heads above the parapets. You guys in the comments, the idiot here on the camera, put our head above the parapets, give opinions, and if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But yeah, I think when you actually look at the recruitment, it's been very decent. And as we maintain from September onwards on this channel, me and all the guests really who have come on, maybe barring Brownie to a certain extent, you play to a certain specific system and you'll get the best out of these players. And that's what we've done. Credit to Farke and credit to the board, 100%. James says nobody's going to pay 40 million for Larsen when they can get him much cheaper when Wolves go down. Well, that's an interesting comment there, Jamie, because what I would say is if you wait until Wolves go down, it's going to be a cut price, and then you're going to have 15 clubs in for him in the summer. So do you take him off the market now and pay a premium to get him off the market and bring your summer business forward because you know you're going to have an advantage? Or do you wait until the summer where you have 10 Italian clubs, 5 French clubs, 3 English clubs, 5 Spanish clubs, maybe all inquiring about him, looking at him? That's why teams are looking at him now. And also teams are looking at save our season as well. And teams are future planning. Like Leeds still need to stay in the Premier League. It's not certain that we're going to be in the Premier League yet. So there'll be a fat relegation clause in his contract if he comes to Leeds. There's no guarantee Leeds are staying up yet. We're not at that point. However, what bringing him in can do is guarantee that. And bringing him in as a 25-year-old and someone who's already played in the Premier League means that you've got kind of a guarantee. And you are surrounding him with better players in and around him consistently. I think there's probably better players in that Leeds team this season overall in terms of the spread and the depth than there was in that Wolves side last season. I know there was Aït-Nouri, I know there was Cunha, I understand that, but I think the spread of quality in the team is better in this team. I think if you put Dominic Calvert-Lewin in that Wolves side last season, who played a 3 at the back, I don't think he'd have been as profitable as he has been this season in a Leeds United setup with 3 at the back. Jamie says, move on from Larsen. No, Jamie, because we're still there. So why would I do that? Pay the premium, 100%. Us and Palace bid the same amount. JSL chooses Leeds, in my opinion. I think his agents could be a big factor in selling the project. Just like in the summer, I think they'll only get Larsen if the price is right. We're not yet at a point where price is no object. And we might be looking at a scenario where this comment is bang on, right? We might be looking at a scenario where that comment is absolutely bang on, where Wolves maybe don't need to sell. I would look at how much money Wolves are going to get for Jørgen Strand-Larsen, as I was just mentioning to Jamie there, that teams are not going to be paying a premium for Jørgen Strand-Larsen in the summer. And he's going to be another 6 months down the line in his contract. They're not going to be paying a premium. Wolves are going to be going down. So Wolves can make their most money right now. I mentioned this several times when it comes to assets that Leeds should have sold on in yesteryear and previously in general. When the stock is high, sell. Sometimes it can be hard, but you've just got to do it. Let's see how many of you are in the building. There is nearly 1,000 of you in the building. Do us a favor, slap a like on the video. It's a very irregular time for us, isn't it? Grass says, hi, Connor. Hello. How's it going? In November, Justin born out and even Biel looked like a waste of money and Farke looked doomed. Look now, that shows us that we need at least some patience and to view it over half a season. What I'd say as well is, like, if Jørgen Strand-Larsen doesn't come in, is this like, are we in a massive problem phase right now? No, I don't think so. I think what I would say, and I wonder how the club are looking at this, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is injured at any phase in this season for a 3 to 6 game period, and weirder things have happened. Jakob played 33 out of 34 games for Udinese last season. Now he's out for 5 weeks. Weird things happen in football. But if Dominic Calvert, and this wouldn't be classified as weird because it's DCL, but I'm going to touch wood. Everybody touch wood. Can we all touch wood? Thank you. So with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he is to miss out on games, which I do think will still happen this season, at some point, you need almost like a like-for-like replacement. If Strand-Larsen came in, he wouldn't be a sub. We all know that. He wouldn't be a substitute. But if Jørgen Strand-Larsen came in, you have always got that facilitator who I've mentioned before. Now, I think in a 2, you need a facilitator and a runner. But I think Jørgen Strand-Larsen's got that much to his game that I'd be willing to have 2 facilitators up front. And to have 2 absolute active right wing back and left wing backs who are so mobile in Bogle and Goodmanson, who we're going to get onto in a bit. And you know, they can bring them into the game and bring our central players, Stack, you know, whoever, Aronson into the game as well. So I think you can have 2 facilitators with Leeds United's makeup in our squad. So anyway, yeah, I just think if DCL is out, JSL is probably your like-for-like replacement there. And I don't know now. You guys know how much I highly rate Mecha. I'll go to defend Mecha as much as I can. I'm just not 100% sure with him from the start consistently to be maybe injury-free if Dom's pick something up. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is just so essential for Leeds United right now. He's so essential for Leeds United right now. So I think that's what, and this can flip very quickly, right? We have to be real about this as well. I think Leeds will be fine this season. I think Leeds will remain a Premier League side, but we all know how quickly this can flip. Like, you know, a little bit of form down there, a club just falls off for a couple of games, 2 or 3 games. It can all change very, very quickly, especially in the January window when players come in and can make an impact on mentality, but the caliber of the squad as well. So something to bear in mind there when it comes to it, in my opinion. Craig says, good to catch a live, Con. I love the content. Thank you, Craig, my man. I'm shocked Alex Soloth isn't on people's radars. Not getting much time at Atletico. Good shout, mate. Really good shout. Similar profile again, isn't he? Once again, a facilitator. Mark says, think you're right, Connor, about selling when the stock is high, but this really doesn't go down. But Mark, it doesn't. No, it never has done, mate. It never has done. And it's not a slight on the supporters, but this is why, you know, sometimes you'll get a bit of flack. I'll get quite a bit of flack on this channel, maybe because I strip away sentiment quite a bit, and I can be quite cold when it comes to things like Leeds United. And I was, and it's not to say I'm right or wrong, because I've been wrong on plenty of things, but when there was the big love in for Jack Harrison, and it has been for 4 or 5 years, I'd never thought he was good enough. I think he was a bit of a cluster player. He had a little bit of a purple patch, but I never thought he was good enough. Stock was high, get rid of him. But that wasn't the sentiment when it came to the fan base. But it's not the fan base's fault. The same can be said for Eli Mele. That's not the fan base's fault. It's the club feeding off what they read. It's the club feeding off what the sentiment and vibe is around the club. But at that point, you've got to be a big club. You've got to take matters into your own hands and ignore that. Ignore the noise. Ignore what goes on and sell them. There'll be problems, but later on down the line, you will be a successful project as a football club. And I think now what I'm hoping for, and this is why I've spoken a lot about Joel Peru, because there's still a feeling in the fan base, understandably, but like those 19 goals that he's had in the Premier League, that he's had in the Championship, are somehow going to translate into some element of form in the best league in the world, where it's miles quicker, it's miles more physical, it's miles more athletic. It's somehow going to transition. That could happen, and I could be wrong. I don't see that happening, but that could happen. But yeah, I think you kind of look at him now, and he's the 5th, 6th option. So if he's the 5th, 6th option, why is it up to Joel Peru to stick around at Leeds United if he wants to? That shouldn't be the case. To be a cold, ruthless club and to strip away sentimentality, Joel, there's an offer there, my friend. See you in a bit. And I do genuinely believe Leeds would do that right now if an offer was there on the table. But I don't think there's offers there on the table for Joel Peru. I think right now it's loans with options. So I think a lot of the clubs that are looking at Joel Peru are maybe top-end Championship clubs who can't quite afford that and can't quite bank on that right yet. And maybe you're thinking, well, if Joel Peru can't do it for Leeds in the Premier League and we get up to the Premier League, how's he going to do it for us? And they're maybe looking at that and mitigating against that. And then clubs on the continent, if Leeds are asking for 15, 20 million quid for Joel Peru, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. For some clubs on the continent, I've mentioned to you guys before, in the Eredivisie, there's not that much money. Turkish leagues is a little bit more money than the Eredivisie. You look at Serie A, strapped for cash. So you kind of got to look at that as well. So I think a lot of clubs want this installments, which Leeds can add to their PSR accounts, of course, and it helps, and it takes wages off the books, like we've seen with Jack Harrison. But also, you got to be realistic about this. Is Somerville going to Tottenham? No, he's not. No, he's not. Dave says, lose the spine, 3 injuries to Rodon, Ethan, and DCL will be relegated. What I would say, mate, is I think when you've seen a lot of the players that have been injured this season, Leeds have coped really, really well. Really well. Who'd have thought that Biol, James Justin, Bornau, we're all going to be needed this quickly, and we're all going to be so if someone said to you, we're going to go to Anfield at the beginning of the season, we're going to go to Anfield and get a clean sheet with Seb Bornau at the back, who's coming for 5 million quid, you'd all absolutely piss your pants laughing, So, I don't mind Greb, but I think he's a very limited player. Greb coming into the side and doing as well as he's done, doing as well as he's done, and was going to Premier. If you'd have asked me that at the very beginning of the season, against some of the sides that Greb's come up against, I'd have gone, no way, he's going to get ran over because of the physicality and the athleticism. But because he's got I think he's got a little bit of protection in maybe Ampadu and Stack, and who've acclimatized to the Premier League so well. Gruev is able to work his game a little bit more. But if you said that to me at the very beginning of the season, I'd have gone, ha. So the rotations actually worked pretty well. So I know what you mean, and maybe it's more of the importance of the players. But Rodon, I think we could deal. I think we'd be all right without Rodon. I think I've mentioned this before, but I think in a back three, I think James Justin replicates a lot of what Joe Rodon brings. I think Biol is a bigger miss than Joe Rodon right now. I think Ethan would be massive. Ethan would be massive, and DCL would be massive for me. Let's have a look what you guys are saying anyway. We'll get onto the latest bit of news as well. Conor, do you think Leeds put on a sell-on clause for Somerville? I think there's a sell-on clause in there, mate, but I don't think it's going to be a lot. And I also don't think that's not my main. People immediately, Leeds fans were talking about like sell-on clause. When I was looking at that, I wasn't thinking sell-on clause. I was thinking weaken our opponent with arguably their most influential player going. That's what I was thinking. So let's have a let's have a quick look. And David said, apologies to Gruev. I wanted him sold in the summer. Dave, but this comes back to the when stock is high chat, doesn't it, mate? And this is the problem. Because if I come out and say this right now, people in the comments, there'll be, TikToks, there'll be this, that, and the other. When it comes to, if you think about Gruev, his stock's high right now. If you're able to replace Gruev in a sense that's going to fit Leeds better for the long term, and he's more of a central mid. Let's say someone like we're just talking about, Batterina coming in, different sort of player. But if you could facilitate Batterina coming in with Gruev going out, and you make profit on Gruev from a 5 million standpoint, getting him in for 5 million quid, making a profit on him because you've got that sheet. You can say, look, he's gone away here. He's been brilliant here. That stock being high. That's Gruev's stock being relatively high for Leeds United. If you can go and improve on Gruev, on a younger man who can acclimatise even better to an even greater extent to the Premier League, and that's part of your long-term plan, that's what you need to do. That's stripping sentimentality away again. If you could get profit on Alai Gruev, unbelievable. And that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to sentimentality. Okay. Right, let's get on to the latest news, shall we? When it comes to players out. So Farke in his press conference was talking about this man being back as well, which is really good news. He mentioned that he's back in team training, which is really important. Obviously, that is Daniel James. Now, interestingly, again in a 3-5-2. In a 3-5-2, where does he fit? And it kind of has to be a 4-3-3 again, doesn't it? And I don't think Farke will do that, but I think to facilitate someone like Dan James, who I know is very, very popular in the fan base, to facilitate someone like Dan James, you're going to have to go to a 4-3-3. And as we were kind of saying in pre-season, he's going to have to be a bench option. He's going to have to be a bench option. And I'm not sure, but we know Farke absolutely loves him. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But it looks like he's back in training. Now, there is one slight irk, and I'm going to just let this marinate. Going to give this the old McGilligan marinate for a second. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to just do this. Okay? Hold on a second. I'm just going to find it. And I'm getting Brazilian accounts for whatever reason. I'm just going to do this so you guys can see it. Okay, it's the only thing I found. So I would have got something else in terms of like sources, but this is legit. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to do this. Lord, I never normally ask you. I'm not a religious man, but I never normally ask you these favors. But please just bring Gabby Goodmanson in for the Everton game. Because I think, God, this could be something. This could be a game of which we win. I believe that. I genuinely believe that. With their problems, him up against Nathan Patterson all night, I think we can get some joy with that. With nice Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the middle. Please, Lord, if you give me one thing this weekend, thank you. Amen. Yes, it does look like Gabby Goodmanson, according to Daniel Farke, could be missing, but he is a doubt. He could be available, but he's missed a training session today. So I don't know how many more warning signs Leeds United need. It's staggering. Like even today, like there was barely any question. I think there might have been a question about that. In fact, there was a question. It wasn't pressed that much, or like had any rebuttal, because we know Farke likes to go on his monologues when he's answering. But yeah, he mentioned that. What is your priority when there is effectively there's an injury to Gabby Goodmanson? He just kind of said, he just went, oh yeah, well, James Justin could play out there, and he's played there for Leicester. And we've gone down on the tactic routes before when it comes to how I just don't think that works. I think James Justin as a defender as a fullback, not a wing back, as a fullback on the left-hand side, very similar to Dallas, Gitano Berardi, all these players that we've had before who have been, Sam Byram, who've been shoehorned in there when it's on their weaker side. What do we always say when it comes to these sorts of players? They can play there, and James Justin has played there at a higher level, although Stuart Dallas did it for Leeds in the Premier League at left back as a right-footed player. But Stuart used to maraud. He used to invert. You know, that City goal been the classic one. But he used to maraud into the central part of the pitch and he'd get rid of the ball quite quickly on his left-hand side because they can't run with the ball at speed and deliver like a left-footed left back, left wing back. Guys, you know, when you've watched this channel, this grates my gears more than anything. If you have watched the game, naturally, if you are a right-footed player playing at left back, you invert, which means that you narrow the play. It becomes more compact. You're not a wide team anymore, which naturally restricts Leeds in a 3-5-2 system where we are playing wing backs. So I understand James Justin's played this position before. I just hope that if this comes up again, it feels like this is a minor injury, which is good. And even if he is out for Everton, annoying, but still, it looks like it's a minor issue. But if this becomes more of an issue, and Leeds have targeted Gabby Goodmanson, and the conversation behind it was the brilliance in his stamina. You know, his stamina, played pretty much every single game for Lille. Then you look at Jakobiol, and he played every single minute for Slovenia and Udinese. The issue is these crazy scenarios happen where, you know, Jakobiol then gets a hamstring injury, which is problematic and can reoccur. You know, obviously we know it's an adductor injury, isn't it, with Gabby? I'm just hoping that Leeds maybe look at this and think long-term thinking. If we are to play 3-5-2, does that mean that on Monday we would maybe go to a back four? Because that would help James Justin a little bit, being left back, not left wing back, and being asked to basically man that channel, which is going to be really difficult. So yeah, it just sometimes I'm like, I love the fact we're going for a 9. I love that, and I think it's really the correct move for Leeds United. We're still seeing the likes of Crystal Palace, Tottenham, and West Ham moving for goalkeepers because they don't think their number ones are good enough. I still would like Leeds to do that, and I don't understand why we don't do that. But when you see all the other clubs doing it, when they feel like their goalkeeper isn't good enough. But you kind of look at the left wing back, and this is something that we mentioned. This is why we ranked the summer as like, I think it was like a 7.5. We ranked it as a summer A because we'd not seen all the players play football in the Premier League and acclimatise. B, we didn't know how the manager would use these players. But C, because we didn't bring in sustenance and cover effectively for Gabby Goodmanson. And we didn't bring in, you know, effective cover for Metcher and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which is what we're working on right now. But I cannot believe that we're not working on a left wing back. And I think, you know, with James Justin, we've seen a real encouragement at the fact that he can play right centre back. We've seen a real encouragement that he's acclimatized to a certain extent to right wing back. And that should be his position. Like, I understand he's played on left before, but I feel in this system, which is different to Leicester's system, I want us to have a wing back who's left-footed. That's what I want. But it doesn't feel like Leeds are going to do that. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Leeds says, in Jesus Christ's name, amen. 0 goals, 0 assists from Gabby is not a great stat. I'm not saying he isn't effective, but not saying he isn't effective. Just need those numbers to... Is that right? Is that right? Let me just... I'm having a look at that, mate. Gabriel Goodmanson. That's crazy because I know you're right, but I know it sounds crazy, and I hate this in football as well. But you know the whole pre-assists and how much like he is important in terms of creation. I think like if we're being honest and we watch Leeds week in week out, Gabby Goodmanson is massive. He's that left flank. So yeah, the goals and assists might not represent that. But I think like the whole pre-assist, the build-up play, the facilitation, the manipulation of space, how important he is on that left-hand side in terms of beating a man, and maybe the ball comes in and it's knocked down to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's conjured, isn't it, by Gabby Goodmanson. I don't think we can underestimate his importance in this Leeds United side for me. Chris says, evening Connor, wasn't expecting to catch a live this week. As I'm on base, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Have we played Peru with DCL yet? Can't remember if we give it a go at least. I don't think we have, mate. Don't think we have. Remember, Connor, that the system is fairly flexible. So if Gabby is out, we'd have. Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, mate. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Lottie says, "Evening, Connor. Hope all's well. Can we address the elephant in the room? Mateta leaves Palace. Okay, but so is Glasner now. If you're Strand-Larsen, do you want to go to a team? Yeah, and that's a good point, Lottie. And that's, we're just speaking about Hobbs, and Hobbs brought him in from a recruitment standpoint. And he's now down at Crystal Palace. But that's a really good point. Glasner's going. Do you know what, lads and lasses? I've been lucky enough to speak to some footballers in my time, and I've been in group conversations, and we've asked. I remember asking this one footballer, this one person who was a League One footballer at the time, and I said to him, what is the lure in football? And one of the first things that he said, and it was like the 1, 2, 3, one of the three things, obviously, you want your economic standpoint to be fine, your family and all this sort of stuff, schools for the kids. It was the third or fourth thing he said, everyone wants to live in London. And that is a huge, huge pull for footballers. It's a massive pull for footballers, especially footballers who maybe haven't been brought up here. London is a massive pull, and that will always be on the selling cards for some of these clubs as well. And it's probably why you see some, out of zone players coming over to Brentford and going, Brentford? Oh, Brentford. Okay, I've been Premier League side for this, but they're in London. Okay, yeah, that helps. That'll do. And I'll move on in a couple of years. And I do think, we're talking about these things. I don't want to play for a manager, but yeah, I think football nowadays is very top down. I think there's sporting directors who basically run what goes on. You've seen with Scum recently in Chelsea that managers just want coaches, and basically these footballers just come in and will play for whoever, And if that doesn't happen, they go out and go to another club. Yeah. So let's have a look at. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be going for this long. How many of you in the building? 1,000. Good stuff, guys. Listen, you absolute legends. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm dying, and we've been going for nearly 50 minutes. Check on proper. Excuse me. Check on proper football. Which is the new channel that me, Callum, and Jim Bob have started. Really worth it, everybody. I know you'll enjoy it. My channel, Conor McGilligan channel. Henry, I'm gonna get into that, mate. I'm gonna get into that, my friend. Thank you so much. Check on over and have a look at Conor McGilligan as well. Really appreciate all of you support, everybody. We're trying to do these so you guys enjoy it, and you feel engaged, and you wanted me to do the room mill. So I've just thought, do you know what? Right, screw it. We're going to dedicate time to it. And you know what? What happens is you start talking to me, I start talking to you, and we just feed off each other, don't we? And it does feel like a friendship. And I do really enjoy it as well with all of you. You're all great. You're all very respectful. You've all got, I always find the one Leeds they've got, and it's not just a sales thing and a schmoozy thing with LinkedIn and all this sort of stuff. It is, I've genuinely come on now. I go off and I go, oh yeah, maybe that is right. Maybe you're not right there, Connor. And I do that a lot. So I really appreciate all the community that come in here all the time. Come on over to the Patreon and really support us over here. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. regular time, 10 or 11 a.m. Just keep your notifications switched on. Henry, legend, mate. Thank you so much. So kind there, Henry. Thank you, buddy. I've seen you before as well, mate. Evening, Connor. Great to catch you live. Well, thanks for all your work and great vids. I might try change it up a little bit, mate. I might try change it up a little bit and do some other bits. We'll wait and see in terms of like morning and afternoon. But it's been a pleasure, everybody. Thanks so much once again.